when you were making the first Tom Tom Club album, did you think or have any idea how influential that album would be and how many times it would be sampled?
No.
We had no idea.
Right.
But it's been sampled. I think the last time I counted it was like 75 times.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And some of those records are really good records that used it too.
Yeah, well, Grandmaster Flash.
Yeah.
Last I remember was Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey. We just agreed to let Mariah Carey, that her version be used on this TV show called The X Factor.
Right.
I mean, how far removed from The X Factor are we?
Right.
But yet there's a song that we wrote on The X Factor.
Yeah, that's great.
If you'll please forgive one interjection on my part, I'd like to point out that album virtually invented sampling.
Well,
Helped it.
that's arguable.
Yeah.
Helped it get it
It definitely inspired sampling.
Well, it was a good. It was good for it. It was good for it because it had a slow beat,
Right.
that you could swing to. It had a lot of air in it and a lot of swing in it, so that there was room to put a lot of other events. It wasn't the wall of sound.
Right. It also had a good funk beat to it.
Well, that's the idea.
Yeah. You know, 70s and 80s songs to me always had a lot more breathing room in. Now you're just bombarded with sound.
Right.
So I don't know if it was just the atmosphere at the time and people were a little more patient, but you were allowed to have that space in a song. And I think, you know...
And you had live bands playing, and bands could... You know, the challenge back then was, oh boy, when we get old, maybe we'll be able to play slow. Like the old guys who really know what they're doing, because there's all the unsaid rhythm, the unspoken rhythm. But also, a big problem with the music of today is the production that doesn't allow any air in it.
Right.
Because they're using types of equipment that add a lot of white noise, or they're listening on MP3 and they're so used to that they don't, or they're processing through MP3, which has a lot of dropouts. So that instead of having these, you know, these big raw sounds that dominate, they just sort of have these little, you know, hissy, wimpy little things. You know, well, that's a critique of music that's not fair, perhaps. A lot of good ideas are coming out, fresh ones too, but they just don't have the old, you know, the old designs that we had.
Right. You have a new vinyl record out, actual record, Downtown Rockers, and you know, I've been listening to it, and it kind of defies any categories, much like your other stuff. And what I always liked about that, it makes it very original, and it gives it a timeless effect. So you can listen to it 10 years from now, and it's not going to sound like that's a certain time period, which I think is great.
Well, thank you for noticing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for making it.
Well, we just try to make things classic. Classic meaning that it has a quality in the way that it's made.
Right.
And this could be true of whether you're making a motor car or a desk or anything that you're making, wine, cheese, anything, a good meal. But it's about the flavors you put in, and then just being really careful to say, when everybody's sitting there, we basically recorded the basic tracks were recorded with just 4 people.
Right.
And then we were just very careful to say, let's not junk it up. And I think that sometimes if you're using a lot of samples, then that's easy to have happen because, well, sampling is a great thing, but it was a novelty at one time, and it's now been adopted as part of, you know, music. Right. But you have to be very careful how you create something still, because it can fall apart very easily. It's like using, well, I won't go there, but because it's too rambling. I told you before, I can't organize my thoughts. But it's too long a story to tell. But what we try to do with our music always is make it very, have a lot of space and air in it so that you, the listener, you're involved as a participant, as a listener, in adding to that with your own music. It comes in. You can't help it. It might happen because you start harmonizing to it.
Right, right.
You might happen because you start thinking of a part you could play along with it.
So you want the listener to think.
I think the listener is going to think.
Yeah.
It's just bound to happen.
Now, it's out on vinyl, Downtown Rockers. What other formats are there?
The only other format is digital, iTunes or Amazon.com or whatever, e-music.
Okay.
You know, those type of formats you can. We didn't make CDs this time because it seemed like people make their own CDs now.
Right.
What do we need to make them for?
Right. And are you going to be performing anywhere soon?
We have a show coming up November 1st at Brooklyn Bowl, which is a really great venue. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's you can bowl, but you don't have to bowl. It's not mandatory. The bowling is off to the side, and then they have this really great stage with a really great sound system, and they have decent food. More than decent, actually quite good, like soul food.
Okay.
And tons of beer. It's really nice.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Tons of beer is always good.
Yeah.
Anybody who's listening, I recommend that they go to YouTube and check you guys out live, because you just do an incredible show live.
Well, thank you.
We have an incredible live band.
Yeah, you do.
And they're crazy.
Yeah.
They love each other. That's not normal. You know, they actually really get along, and there's nothing that they love more than touring.
Okay, and just a quick question about what brings you to Roxbury, and let's talk about the 8-Track Museum.
Well, we came here at the I should say at the suggestion of our good friend Big Bucks Burnett.
Okay.
From Dallas, Texas, who we've known for 30 years or something like that. And we were.
How could we resist?
We were present at the opening of his 8-Track Museum in Dallas, Texas, about a year and a half ago. And then when he told us he was going to be opening another 8-Track Museum up our way, sort of the northern version, how could we resist coming? I mean, and it's a very interesting thing, this idea of an 8-track museum, because nobody really listens to, well, very few people really listen to 8-tracks anymore.
Right.
But people love them, and people, it's a really good way for people to appreciate the recorded song. You know, the idea of recording songs and records, cassettes, 8-tracks, MP3s. Who cares? It's all great.
Well, I want to thank you both for speaking with me, and Chris and Tina, thanks again, and good luck to the 8-Track Museum.
Cheers.
Thank